inside. He's got all this beauty around everywhere, and he's basically like saying, I'm gonna like just tune in to what's on the inside, and from there he then actually has all the beauty in the world, because he realizes that he himself is the universe, right? That drop is the entire ocean. But that requires meditation, it requires introspection, right? And this is what you're here to do as well, right? It's actually to build wisdom, not to build knowledge. And so by actually tuning on the inside, that changes everything. Now, the reason this is so important is that when we actually got here, we decided to call it Vision Villas, to give vision and get vision, by actually running programs like this, which allows everyone to get insight. But at the same time, we actually connected up the John Fawcett Foundation, which gives people sight, which means that everyone who comes and stays here, we then donate for a Balinese to get their eyesight back through cataract surgery, right? And so this whole idea that you actually have this ability to come here, make that difference, like that is where the true value in all of this is. And then knowing that there's these like key elements that happen in the world as to why these things happen the way they happen. Now this is not the real guy, right? Like, so what happened? Well, what happened was, in the very first day I decided that I was no longer going to be retired here anymore, but I was actually going to go out there and make a difference in the world, was the day I said, okay, I'm going to start by having a New York Times best-selling book. And I decided if I was going to do that, I better start a YouTube channel. So in 2014, I basically started a YouTube channel, and the very first video, if you go all the way back to the first video on that, it was in 2014, before I took off to go to New York. And I said, I'm going to tell the story about my favorite Buddha, right? And I came here and I told the story on the video so you can see the original Buddha. And then I went off and I became a New York Times bestselling author. It all happened in America. I then flew back here. And the next time we had a retreat, which was a couple of months afterwards, I brought everyone here to show them the Buddha, and it was gone. And I was like, what? Like, this was the cornerstone of everything I believed in, and it's gone. How is this possible? And I got so upset. All of this was gone as well. All of this was just a tree. So I went to the team. I said, guys, like, what happened? And they go, we got some new gardeners in. They cleared all the vines away. So I went to the gardeners. I'm like, well, what happened to the Buddha? And they go, what, there's a Buddha? Okay, yeah, this is the most important statue was here. It's what makes everything possible. And they're like, I don't know. It's like, the guy's like, I just took all the vines and I just pulled them and took them out. And I was like, oh, I've lost the Buddha. So, of course, I'm here teaching detachment, and I'm suddenly attached to this thing, and I'm like, oh, this is so bad. And it took me a long time, like a month, to get over this. And I was just sitting here, just meditating one day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to let it go. There's a saying, which is that whatever you love most, you should let go. And there's also another saying, which is that whatever you need, you'll never get it unless you no longer need it. It's like going to the bank needing money. The bank will never give you money, but the moment you got lots of money, the banks are queuing up wanting to give you money, right? So I go, okay, I no longer need it. It's not a problem. It's gone, right? And then suddenly, after I said that, within a week, the Buddha came back. I'm like, what the heck? Where did this Buddha come from? It came back. And so I went to the garden. I said, where did you find the Buddha? And they go, oh no, we were clearing out the pond by the Buddha down here. And when we're clearing out the pond, the Buddha was inside. So obviously what had happened was that basically when they took all of the different, they took all the vines and they were pulling it up by the pond, taking the shortcut, the Buddha was like, I'm not going anywhere. And it jumped into the pond. And it was just waiting hidden in the pond, right? So here I am hiding things in plain sight. And then basically nature plays a trick on me and does exactly the same thing, or the Buddha does a trick on me. So even if you think you know what you know, you realize, no, there's so many more mysteries that are out there as well. So if you really want to see the real Buddha, we brought him back. So he's the little brother of the big brother. So I can go right over here. And right down here, if you have a look, you can see is the original Buddha from way back 20 years ago. And he has got vines all over him. So basically he is now part of nature. And 99% of everyone who comes here will never ever get to see this Buddha, because he's here just meditating every day. So if you haven't seen him, you can come around and have a look and just see the little Buddha there.
Wow.
And just ask yourself, how many times every day do you just walk right past your treasure and have no idea that it was so close, and you just missed it all over again? So I want to share that just as a thought, because I think that one of the most powerful experiences you can have when you're here at Vision Villas is really understanding that when you're here, just like this tree here, you can either decide to go up through these branches to try and get to knowledge, or you can come down through to the trunk and get to true wisdom. And we're living in a world today where we used to have true wisdom, right? Like if you really wanted to know what was going on in the world, you just go to your medicine man, or you go to your your chief of the village, and you go to your shaman, and they'll go, oh, here's how everything's connected. Here's the sky, here's the ground, like everything's connected. It was so simple, and we all got the whole picture. But then with life comes complexity, and suddenly that shaman who knows all about your body and knows all about the sky, suddenly it's like, oh, there's too much information here, there's too much knowledge. All right, I tell you what, I'll do the body stuff, I'll do medicine, you do the science stuff, you do astronomy, astrology, right? And now the medicine thing gets too complicated. It's like, wait, hang on, the brain is different from the body. I'll be the brain doctor, you be the body doctor. And then that also splits up. It's like, wait, brain surgery is different from psychology, right? You be the psychologist, I'll be the brain surgeon. And it keeps on going out until we get born 5,000 years later, and we're all born into a branch where it's like, okay, I'll just be that one that's gonna focus at getting a degree on neuroscience, right? That's my degree. Okay, well, what do you want to specialize in? And it's like, you just got to keep on getting more and more separate. And then you come here, it's like, I want to be a good entrepreneur. That's what I want to be. Okay, well, what do you want to do? I want to have a tech company. Well, what kind of tech? I want to have a website or an app. Okay, yeah, an app. Well, do you want to be Android? Do you want to be Apple? Well, I guess it's Apple. It's like, well, and so you keep on realizing at every point, there's too much infinity of information for you to learn everything. And so what happens here, and we actually do this at a program that we're launching again next year called iLab. A lot of people think, oh, iLab, that must be intellect lab, or it must be, identity lab. No, iLab is just Bali backwards, right? iLab backwards is fun, right? And basically, like we say, if you come here and you're looking at things in a way where everything's going into more and more fractal, then you become more and more separate until you fall off the tree. But if you turn around and you go, well, what if I just started connecting the dots instead? So maybe if I'm going to be interested in basically having an online business, but it's in education, and Angie's here and she's got an education business, well, I can connect with her, and she's already got the person doing the apps, right? And then I can connect with the person who actually already's got the connections, in Vietnam, because Anna's here. And then, well, he's got all those branches over there, and you suddenly realize that every person you meet isn't making you more separate; it's making you more connected. And as you go further and further down, you suddenly realize that everything's connected. And that basically is not knowledge, it's wisdom. Wisdom is the opposite of knowledge, right? Wisdom is the absence of knowledge or the integration of knowledge. And most of us, we're going through life trying to get more knowledge. So don't be here for the next couple of days trying to get knowledge. Be here trying to get connections. And the way you do that is don't look for the dots. Look for the connections between the dots, right? Because every one of us here is a dot, because every one of us here is a raindrop. But if we actually connect together, we create the entire river. So I wanted to share that, and do know that if you were to wander around this place over the next couple of days, you will find all sorts of hidden treasures. And if at any point you want to know the story of any of them, just come find me and I'll tell you all about it. All right, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Let's head back inside.
Hey, assignment, find treasures.